Hey Julie, I'm going to give you some ideas about teaching someone how to fall. And haven't seen him, so I don't really know how much capability he has. So I'm going to start at a really beginning level. So I might just skip down a little bit and just give you ideas. So two main things about falling. One, if the surface allows, like you wouldn't do it in a gravel parking lot, obviously, but if the surface allows motion, like in grass or on carpet or something, for you to tuck and roll in some form, so pulling in, bending the knees to get really low to the ground and rolling so that whichever way you fell, the energy that's going forward in the fall or it's going backwards, you could keep that roll going. And so obviously it progresses from something a toddler would learn versus into martial arts where you're actually doing a martial arts forward roll, backward roll, things like that. So in the beginning, you remember in training, let's see which way this is going to show, we would do things, the child might be on the floor or maybe even sitting on a stool. So I'm on my knees and you guide the child's hands, and obviously he's an adult, so he can do it, but on his knees, and you go up to the ceiling and then just let him drop. So that's a big learning thing if your brain hasn't been doing it. And then variations of that might be they put one knee up and they drop that way. They protect and land on a shoulder because you never know if you're getting pushed to the side. So anything in kneeling or even in sitting, to have him, hands up and then turn to catch. Seems very elementary, but with a stroke, it may be things he needs to refresh in his brain. And perhaps his abilities were super high before his stroke. So just getting him back into the rhythm of doing things he already knew how to do, if he was already doing martial arts or if he'd done it in sports training or anything else. If that's beneath him, he's already past those sorts of things, kneeling and one leg up and those kinds of things. I think a really good one in the brain is to, if he's only on the floor, because I know he's in your office and you don't have the bed, he could still do all those things that I was talking about in kneeling, one knee up and going down on a blanket or something. Eventually, if I'm let's just say this is the blanketed floor, and let's just say here, I would squat as best I could, and then have him round, and if he could get in the habit of protecting his head, if he were going down behind himself where he falls, and rolls backwards. It's kind of off the camera, but I think you get the point. He could do it both ways. He could fall and catch himself on his elbows. He could, depending on the surface where he's falling, but the idea is getting low as soon as possible. If he were going over, bend in a ball, teaching him how to recognize that. And even if the surface, if you had 2 or 3 mats, something that was fairly thick so that he could do it, he could squat really low if squatting is available to him. Protect his head, fall on the bottom, and go back. So everything can be taught in a very slow motion and gradually go faster and faster to where his brain is used to, could hold on here, fall, and then pull himself up. And he could, really low squat, fall, and pull himself up, just to keep the exercise going. And then obviously falling to the side, he could learn from a little higher squat to side sit and fall in that way. So I'm pretending like I'm on the floor, and then you could eventually, you could mimic falling and then can he get those arms out to the side. We just want him to see himself as beginning a falling process, and he can incorporate his arms side to side, and then of course forward could be the falling catch if it was slow enough, or it can be going forward and you side sit to catch yourself. So all kinds of variations of that. And even if any of that was still too challenging in his brain to incorporate, even from the sort of the baby stage, even just having him rolling, holding these, get his head used to going from laying to upright, and then even to the elbow and pull up, cross body that way, different ways. So he could get used to even balancing and falling, letting his brain feel falling from a very safe distance could go a long way in his brain to give him confidence that if I start going over, I know I can side sit, I can side roll even. When people land on the side of their arm or their shoulder, if I was going down, oh no, I'm not gonna make it. You don't have to. For some people, if they fell and caught themselves with their hands, it would break a wrist. And if he's in that category where that might be a danger, then he needs to learn how to land, side sit on his side and keep the motion going. So I don't know if that was specific enough for him. For the little kiddos, like I said, raising their arms up and coming down where they realize if they're going over, put those hands out, because a lot of these kids that are first learning, they don't have that reflex to protect themselves in some way. And then of course the feeling of falling back or to the side, and even does his brain, if he goes back, can he think to catch himself, with the, matter of fact, that's even a martial arts thing, to slap the ground. Of course, if he was in grass or something else, that would work, but they dissipate the falling energy that way. So as you know, so much just depends on where his brain is, where you would start on that continuum, and then where you would need to stop. But I bet that'd be easy for you to decide what's best for him. And I would be very super interested to know what process you took him through and how it went. So hope it's helpful. Alrighty, bye.